What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about just some thoughts that I've been having for the past few days, and I figured I'd make them into a video so that we could actually have a discussion about it in the comments, because I've kind of been thinking about Nintendo recently and the direction that they've been going, and I feel like that they might actually be doing something that a lot of people might not be expecting, and I kind of want to just make a video about it and give you guys my thoughts, because the way I see it, normal like Nintendo Directs, like the way that we remember Nintendo Directs, I feel like that they're actually done. Now this is not information that is confirmed or anything. Nintendo could very well still announce a Direct, but the way I see it, I just feel like that the possibility of Nintendo still doing their normal type of Nintendo Directs like they used to isn't going to happen anymore. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about in this video. I kind of want to just give you guys my thoughts about why I feel this way and the new direction that they may be heading, and then I want to see what you guys have to say about this as well, so definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know how you guys feel about this. Like, do you guys agree with me? Do you guys see where I'm coming from? Or do you think that this is just something else and you think that normal Directs are definitely going to be back? Because I'm interested in this, because I feel like now, this year, especially what they recently kind of just did, I feel like it's a big indicator for the direction that they may be going. Now the first thing that I want to show you guys is that the Nintendo president actually made this quote back at a Nintendo meeting, and I'll put it up on screen for you guys right now. This is a quote right here said by the Nintendo president, Mr. Shuntaro Furukawa. He said right here, "We feel Nintendo Directs are an incredibly effective way to present information directly to our customers in a very straightforward way. Inversely, times change, and so does the most effective way to promote products, so there is a chance that a new, better way to present this information comes about. So we will always like to examine all the possible ways to communicate this information to our customers." Now that little quote does confirm that Nintendo Directs may not always be around forever, and even though they are the most effective way currently at the time when he was talking, if they do find a better way, then they will definitely take that opportunity to try to do something else. Now the reason that I feel like that Nintendo Directs may not happen anymore is because of what happened last year with Nintendo in 2020. See, for a while now, we pretty much had a standard formula with how Nintendo Directs go. We always usually have 3 big Nintendo Directs that happen throughout the year. The first one happens right around the beginning of the year, either in January or February or March. It's like the spring Nintendo Direct that always happens. Then the second Nintendo Direct is right at the halfway point of the year in June at E3. And then finally, towards the end of the year, we usually have like a fall Nintendo Direct that pretty much always happens in September. So that's always kind of been the way that Nintendo Directs were structured, and last year in 2020, of course, January started, and we were all hoping for that Nintendo Direct to come, and it didn't. And then we moved into February, and we were like, okay, hopefully this month we're gonna get a Nintendo Direct. We still got nothing. And then we went into March, and we were getting close to the end of March, and still no sign of a Nintendo Direct, so it just seemed like nothing was gonna happen. And then Nintendo did something kind of weird, which was give us a Nintendo Direct Mini. Now Nintendo Direct Minis have happened in the past before, but this Nintendo Direct Mini really didn't have any big announcements or any crazy new reveals. In fact, the only like new game that was actually revealed was a 51 Clubhouse type of game where you could play some like old school types of games on your Nintendo Switch, but even that isn't like a huge hitter type of game. Besides that, like all the information was just updates about new stuff that's already there for existing games that we knew about, like a new trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and like the brand new ARMS character being announced for Smash DLC. So when that happened, everybody was a little bit confused. We thought, okay, maybe this is just going to be like a big Nintendo Direct that's going to happen in the summer now. Maybe this will be like their E3 replacement and that's going to happen. But then in May, Nintendo did a reveal that pretty much changed everything. See, what they did in May was randomly out of nowhere when nobody was expecting it, Nintendo dropped a trailer for a brand new Paper Mario game, Paper Mario the Origami King. And this pretty much changed everything because this was a major first-party Nintendo game. We're talking about a Paper Mario game, a AAA title that was just randomly dropped out of nowhere with no prior announcement, no prior indication. It was just one morning you woke up and there it is, a trailer for a brand new Paper Mario game coming to the Switch in just a couple of months. So it was really at this point where everything became really weird, because now we were like, well, why did they decide to reveal this just so randomly out of nowhere in May? I mean, it's not like this game didn't exist back in March when that Direct Mini happened. They could have easily had a Nintendo Direct Mini and then at the end they would have been like, hey, we've got one last surprise, and showed off a brand new Paper Mario game. That could have 100% happened. So it was just really unusual that this was the type of reveal that Nintendo decided to do. But then the thing is that they did this multiple times throughout the year. I mean, Pikmin 3 Deluxe was was also another game that was pretty much exactly like this, where it was revealed out of nowhere and people never saw it coming, and it was just randomly one day they tweeted out, hey, we've got a Pikmin 3 Deluxe port from the Wii U with enhanced content coming to the Nintendo Switch in just a couple of months. And so that was randomly announced, and then they did this with one of their biggest holiday games last year too, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And so with all of these shadow drops, that's when it became a bit weird, because now we knew that Nintendo did in fact have games. It's not like they didn't have anything to show us, but they purposely decided not to have a Nintendo Direct or put them into a Nintendo Direct, but instead just randomly decided to reveal these games out of nowhere when they felt like it. Like, all of these games definitely did exist and were in development, so there's no way why they couldn't have just had a normal Nintendo Direct early last year where they opened up with Paper Mario the Origami King and said like, yeah, here's a new Paper Mario game that's going to be coming out in the summer of this year. In the middle, they could have had like that information that was in that Nintendo Direct Mini for March with the new Xenoblade trailer, with the ARMS character coming to Smash, and like all those other third-party ports and things like that. And then at the end, they could have been like, alright, we've got one last surprise, and they ended it off with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and then also had like Pikmin 3 Deluxe in the middle somewhere as well. That could have easily been like one nice 30 to 40 minute direct, but instead they decided not to do that. And then Nintendo also started a brand new type of presentation last year called the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. And these happened multiple times throughout the year. There was pretty much one that happened every month, and they were focused on information about third-party games from their third-party publishing partners that were coming to the Nintendo Switch. You wouldn't watch these for like big Nintendo reveals, but just information on third-party games. Now, a lot of you might feel that maybe this was just a one-off thing for Nintendo in 2020. You wouldn't be wrong to say that last year wasn't unusual and weird, and it was definitely like that for Nintendo fans as well. So maybe some of you might think like, with everything happening in the world last year and everything going on, Nintendo just wasn't able to do the things that they wanted to, and because of that, we kind of had all these random things that happened instead. And hopefully with 2021, everything is going to improve and Nintendo is going to go back to the way that they kind of did with the reveals and announcements. See, I felt this exact same way as well. I thought that maybe this was just all happening because of 2020 being a crazy year, and hopefully with 2021 everything gets better in the world, it gets better for Nintendo as well, and they can kind of just go back to what we've been used to with their normal Nintendo Directs. But then they did something very weird just 2 days ago that kind of made me reconsider. See, 2 days ago, Nintendo put up a tweet that said, Bowser's Fury will be unleashed in a new Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury trailer tomorrow. Come back at 6 AM PT to see a 2-minute long trailer. And they basically just gave an announcement for a brand new trailer that was going to happen for this game. And this is weird because these types of reveals normally would be inside of Nintendo Directs, and Nintendo would have just been like, hey, don't forget, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury comes out next month, here's a new trailer with some of the new content that you can expect in the game, and they would have just shown you the release date and made you kind of remember. That's pretty much how they've done these types of reminders and new trailers for information like that in the past. The fact that we're now starting 2021 and they're still kind of doing this thing where they're like, hey, tune in tomorrow at this time for a new information trailer, instead of like just kind of waiting till they have multiple things to put together into a direct, it really makes me think that maybe this could be the route that we're going to go now. So real quick, let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that come from doing information reveals like this. So the first thing is that I'm sure that this is saving Nintendo some money. A lot of people don't really realize how much work and effort goes into making a Nintendo Direct, and obviously I don't work at Nintendo, but I do make videos here on YouTube, and anybody else who makes YouTube videos, or if you know some stuff about video production, then you definitely know exactly where I'm going with this. It takes a lot of time to make a video like this, and especially for Nintendo Directs, like, first of all, they gotta get all the Nintendo people there to actually record everything, and then after that, there's probably like an entire editing team that has to make sure that everything goes in a good order. All those animations and transitions that you see inside of Nintendo Directs, people have to edit those and put those all together as well. And then after that, people still have to do voiceovers and translate all the information, because Nintendo has to be able to make sure that everybody across the world is able to see this information. So then they got to do voiceovers and translate this into like Italian, into Spanish, into German, into French, into all these other different languages that are spoken around the world. So it's definitely something that has to be prepared months in advance. It's not something that just magically can happen within like a week. And so this new style definitely saves Nintendo money, because now they don't have to edit a Nintendo Direct presentation altogether, and instead they can just shadow drop a trailer for the game whenever they want. Another good thing is that now everything gets its own spotlight and its own time to shine in terms of like its own reveal. It's not like a Nintendo Direct, because a Nintendo Direct was really fun because of how much they crammed into one. Like, there was always some really good reveals that happened, but now if they do like these own individual things, then its own individual title gets to have its own spotlight for the day. They get to make sure that everybody's hyped about it, everybody knows about it. So I can kind of see this being an effective way for Nintendo as well. And this is also very good for third-party developers as well, because one of the things that third-party developers unfortunately have to deal with a lot in terms of Nintendo Directs is a lot of times their announcements just get overshadowed because of Nintendo's big reveals that happen. And I mean, it's understandable, but at the same time, it's kind of sad for them as well, because like if I show you guys any Nintendo Direct, like let's talk about this Nintendo Direct that happened on March 8th of 2018, right? What's the big thing that you remember from this Direct? Of course, 99% of you guys are going to say Super Smash Bros. Being announced for the Switch. That was like the big thing from this Nintendo Direct. It was the big surprise at the end, but there were some pretty good third-party announcements inside of this Direct as well. I mean, we had Undertale revealed for the Nintendo Switch. We had the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy revealed. Like, these were some good announcements, but of course they get overshadowed because of Smash Bros. Being such a big deal, and of course being so much bigger than all these other announcements. And I remember like going to Twitter after this Direct even ended, and I remember seeing all the trends, and it was just Smash Bros, Smash Bros Switch, Smash Bros is coming to Switch, Breath of the Wild link, like all that stuff was trending, and nobody cared about any of the other announcements. And so this new style actually helps third parties as well, because now they know that they've got their own thing called the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. And so anybody who's interested in third parties are going to tune in and watch that, and people who are expecting big first party reveals from Nintendo aren't going to watch that. So it's kind of good for that, because now they can have their own spotlight for third parties in like these special partner showcases. The only kind of downside is maybe they might have like less eyeballs and less people watching, because obviously if Nintendo announces just a normal Nintendo Direct, you could say like maybe there's 2 million to 3 million people all around the world that are watching because they're hoping for big Nintendo reveals and first party stuff to be announced, and instead they also end up seeing this third party stuff. But now instead, if you just announce like a partner showcase, then people are going to know it's only going to be third party stuff, so maybe you're only going to have like a couple 100,000 watching. So that's kind of like the only downside, but besides that, I feel like in terms of not having stuff be overshadowed, this is definitely a good thing. Now, in terms of the downsides, of course, one of the biggest downsides is that you don't know when these reveals are going to happen. The thing with Nintendo Directs was you knew exactly what day and at what time to expect a Nintendo Direct to happen. Nintendo would tell you in advance, like a day or two before, that on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, we are going to show you guys a brand new Nintendo Direct full of Nintendo information. So you knew, like if you had plans on Thursday, you had to clear those. Like you knew if that girl was asking you out to go on Thursday for dinner, you knew to tell her, nope, I got a Nintendo Direct to watch. That was like the good thing about Nintendo Directs. The thing with this now is that these randomly just get shadow revealed out of nowhere, and sometimes you kind of can miss out on that. And that actually happened to me last year with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. See, I remember waking up in the afternoon around like 1 or 2 o'clock last year, and I go on Twitter, and all of a sudden I see all these pictures of Link and Zelda that I haven't seen before, and people are talking about it. At first, I had no idea what was even going on. I thought they accidentally just showed off some new information about Breath of the Wild 2 and I missed it or something, but then I looked a little bit more onto Nintendo's page, and I learned like, okay, this is a new Hyrule Warriors game, okay, it takes place before Breath of the Wild, okay, it's a prequel. That's how I kind of learned, and it just felt really, really weird because all the memes were already made, everybody was already hyped about it, everybody was talking about it, and I kind of just woke up and now just realized that this was announced and I saw it. It just felt really, really weird to me. It felt like showing up at a party 4 hours after it already started. It just feels a little bit weird, and like everybody was kind of already happy and hyped and celebrating. Meanwhile, I was like, whoa, they announced a new game? That's crazy. So that definitely seems to be one of the downsides from this, but it looks like that Nintendo might actually be learning about this now, because the thing with Bowser's Fury that they did a couple days ago was they told us exactly when to expect it and when that trailer was going up. And so if they're going to do that now, then I don't really have a huge problem with it, because it's kind of still like an announcement that you get to stream and you get to watch, because you know exactly when it's going to happen. They did the same thing. They said, you know, at this time tomorrow there's going to be a new trailer for Bowser's Fury going up, so it was good how they did that. It wasn't like they just randomly dropped a trailer out of nowhere. So I guess if they kind of keep doing this, where they just say, hey, on Thursday at 10 o'clock, we're going to show you a trailer for a brand new Nintendo Switch game that's going to be coming out this year, I guess it wouldn't really be so bad. I just don't want them to shadow drop big reveals and then me waking up a couple hours later realizing I missed it, because that's definitely the worst feeling, is like when you go on Twitter and you kind of get that spoiled to you because you don't even see like the trailer or anything. You just see people talking about it on your timeline and you see all these memes and images and everything kind of gets spoiled for you. That's like the only downside. So if they tell us in advance when to expect it, then I really don't see anything wrong with this. And then really the only kind of other thing that might be a little bit of a downside is that because of how these reveals are going to happen individually, there is definitely a chance that maybe one day Nintendo could say like, hey, on Thursday at this time we're going to show you a trailer for a brand new game. You wake up early and it turns out to be a game that you don't care about in the slightest, or it's just not a game that's your type of thing, and it's going to be kind of boring for you, and that's going to be kind of why you might not like it. Because the thing with Nintendo Directs was they were always loaded with new reveals and new announcements, so there was bound to be like at least one thing that you would find exciting exciting or that one thing that you would like. But if they're gonna do like these individual types of reveals now, you could very well wake up very early for a big reveal and get excited, and it could turn out to be something that you don't care about. So that's like the only other downside that I can see from this, but besides all of that, it seems like that this new formula might be working out for Nintendo a lot. I mean, now we've got third parties that aren't going to be overshadowed anymore. They've got their own things with these partner showcases. Of course, indie games got their Indie World presentations. Nintendo's first party games looks like that they might be just like shadow drop now, and instead they're going to have like a time where each individual trailer for this individual reveal is going to go up, and Nintendo will tell you in advance, hopefully, that on this day at this time we're going to reveal a trailer for a brand new game. So honestly, if they decide to do this route now, but they tell us in advance when to expect it, I honestly really can't be that disappointed, because there isn't anything now that's still a mild inconvenience for me, unless of course they decide to keep doing the thing that they did last year, where they dropped these trailers out of nowhere. And so yeah, I really do feel like that Nintendo Directs may be gone now, and this could be the new method going forward. It definitely helps Nintendo out, as well as third parties, for making sure that their stuff isn't overshadowed by Nintendo's big reveals. It also helps Nintendo because each title gets its own individual recognition, and all the reveals can happen for their own thing. So maybe this could be the new method going forward. And I mean, if it is going to be the new thing, I am going to miss Nintendo Directs for sure. I mean, Nintendo Directs were just really cool. It was like Christmas morning, because you always had loaded information with so many good reveals, and if each stuff is going to happen individually now, you don't really know when to expect it, because you could always get something that happens this week and then something else that happens next week. You don't know when stuff is going to come. But of course, at the end of the day, this is all just speculation. Maybe Nintendo could prove all this wrong and just announce a big normal Nintendo Direct next month. We really don't know. It's kind of just speculation based on what I've been noticing from Nintendo for the past few months and last year. We're really just going to have to wait and see what they decide to do. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, then definitely be sure to click that like button, and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. How do you guys really feel about this? I'm really curious to know how you guys think about Nintendo and this new direction of doing reveals. Would you guys be okay with this if this is going to be like the new method going forward? Or are you really going to miss Nintendo Directs and you just kind of want the old style back? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Nintendo content in the future, so definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.